Jonathan Jones joins the program to break down some of the biggest news and storylines heading out of week 17. We're going to start with this because I saw this the other day, and I don't think a lot of people quite understood exactly the rationale for it. It was Deshaun Watson getting his contract restructured and having another year put on at the back of it. What exactly were the Browns trying to do with this deal exactly?
Yeah, Mike, a lot of people probably didn't understand it because a lot of the reporting was all over the place. And so, that's a somewhat subtle shot at competitors, I guess. Here's what I would like. Here's like the really basic way that I can explain it is that, yes, it is technically an extension. He got a year added to the deal. He gets no new money, but he gets every dollar of his fully guaranteed contract, $92 million. So if you consider the rest of his contract a 2-year, $92 million deal, you now need to consider it a 3-year, $92 million deal. That's going to be for the purposes of the salary cap, right? You're going to be able to lessen the salary cap burden in 2025, which in turn allows you to, in theory, field a more competitive roster, right? Re-sign some of your guys, bring in some free agents, but also, and that would be one of the reasons why Deshaun Watson would agree to this, but also one of the reasons that the Cleveland Browns would want this is if they get the same Deshaun Watson that they have gotten over the past 2 years, or if they get a worse version of Deshaun Watson, because now let's remember, of course, he's coming off Achilles surgery from October, they are going to be able to get out of his contract after the 2025 season much easier than before, right? So it will be less financially painful to extricate yourself from that contract after next season due to this contract adjustment. So that is what is happening. He is not taking a cent less. He's getting paid almost literally at the exact same time, but this is going to be a salary cap mechanism to, one, keep the Browns competitive. Two, let's say he plays even better. Let's say he returns to Houston Texans form. Well, now you're going to want to hang on to him in 2026, and you're going to have him, again, less salary cap burden, field a more competitive roster then. But if he plays like he has, or worse, you can get out of it after next year.
That's smart. That's really smart, Mike. Whether or not, JJ laid that out beautifully. Thank you for the simpletons at home like myself. If he plays well, you've got him for an extra year. If he plays poorly, your cap hit for the remainder of the contract is easy relative to what it would have been. So I heard you break the news on Sunday. I didn't know what the hell you were talking about, but the way you just explained it to me, I get it now. Thank you, Jonathan.
And to add some more, the cap goes up every year or should go up every year. This is why, a cap dollar in future years is less percentage of the cap than a cap dollar today. So from that perspective, they're banking on no COVID happening and the dollars being trending downwards yet again. A lot of teams have nothing to play for here in week 18. It's an interesting scenario. It happens almost every single year, but I think this one is unique in that we have some teams that have nothing to play for, playing some teams that not only have nothing to play for, but are probably actively trying to lose because they're at the top of the draft, whether it's someone like the New England Patriots facing up against the Buffalo Bills. So I think it's Chiefs, Bills, Texans, Eagles truly have not a thing to play for in terms of their seeding as the playoffs go. They will be the Bills the number 2 in the AFC, the Chiefs the number 1, the Texans the number 4, and the Eagles the number 2. Those are set in stone at this point. Are all those teams planning on benching their starters this week, or do we think maybe the Eagles let Saquon Barkley rip for that record?
Yeah, I'm interested to see what the Eagles wind up doing with Saquon Barkley. I think probably the most realistic scenario, I would say, would be let him go in there for a quarter, and if things are going well, maybe you let him chase it, or you just say, all right, you suited up. We gave it the old college try. We're lucky to get out of this, healthy. You rushed for 17 yards. That's going to have to be that. I think that could happen. That's not source. That's just feeling. But, we will certainly see there. As far as the Texans go, they've been playing very poorly the last couple of weeks. And we heard from Mike Tomlin earlier today at the podium talking about the idea of momentum, or just at the very least, just good vibes going into the postseason tournament. So if you're the Texans, you really need to play better football in January. So why not start at the start of January playing good football, even in this meaningless game? The Bills, I don't see Josh Allen playing, but the Bills are going to be faced with the same challenge like the Kansas City Chiefs, who are not going to play Patrick Mahomes or Travis Kelce or Chris Jones with the calf, maybe not Joe Thuney because of how essential he is to their entire operation. You're going to run out of bodies. You can't rest everybody, right? And so you have 53 guys. You only have 2 practice squad elevations, and you have the 7 inactives. So, yeah, you will for sure not dress your quarterback if you're the Bills or if you're the Chiefs, right? But after that, you're going to dress some guys and hope you don't have to play them. There's only so many offensive linemen that you have, or defensive linemen, et cetera, et cetera. You also, you're going to be banged up a little bit. Not everyone's going to be healthy. So you're going to play guys who otherwise, if this were the 3rd preseason game, would not be seeing their jersey at all. But it's not. The Chiefs, though, and Kyle and I discussed this yesterday, they're going to have between 24 and 25 days off, right? We don't know if they're going to play on Saturday or Sunday of the divisional round, but if they play on Sunday, it's 25 days off. If it's Saturday, it's 24 days off. That's unheard of. You don't get that amount of time off. And so Andy Reid is certainly going to have some tough physical practices with those guys, even though they're not playing against Denver coming up. And then, you hope that you are going to be sharp and focused enough come mid-January. But also, there's no other choice. That's what it has to be.
And I think couple their seed with the fact that they have the luxury of having so much experience in that locker room, being to this postseason and winning the whole thing. He's got a method to the madness, and the guys aren't going to blink. If he says jump, they'll ask how high. As it pertains to the guys who are going to be playing in Kansas City Chiefs Week 18 matchup, there's only so many offensive linemen. So, I'm thinking about Creed Humphrey. I'm thinking about Trey Smith. And obviously there are backups, swing guards, swing tackles. It's going to be we got to tape up type game for all the players not named Joe Thuney, in my opinion. So great point there, Jonathan.
Kyle, I want your take on how much rest does at the end of the year. Is there, are there real concerns about taking that long off of football and rust forming? Or at this point with this team, is health, getting your body right, far more important? And how much does 2 weeks off or your body at this point in the season, how much recovery do you get in that time frame?
Well, I think it's important to point out that these practices, you can get a lot accomplished without having the physical toll of playing games or having a Wednesday, Thursday practice. Those are the big practices. I think that Andy Reid wants to keep these guys in game shape. The only way he can do that is to simulate the number of reps that they do in games, and that's throughout the course of the week. They get a lot of reps. We used to call it 1,000 rep Thursday in those practices because it just felt like we would run 1,000 plays. And while we weren't beating and banging on one another, it was a tremendous opportunity to not only flush our legs, but to keep us in shape. Andy does a great job with that.